Hi everyone. The article that I chose to look into was Negotiating to Engagement, Creating an Art Curriculum with 8th Graders by Pennisi. This related to my campaign quite a bit. I am a middle school art teacher, and this is art education centric as well as middle grade centric. And the main research question was, what does an art class designed with one's teenage students actually require of teachers? And might such a class help re-engage students in their learning in an art class? So essentially exploring what would happen if these students who are less enthused about school, not really into their art class or their classes in general, what would happen if they were able to have a say in their curriculum? So in order to investigate this, Pennisi conducted research alongside George, who was a third-year teacher at a K through 12 public charter school, which is, well, I work in a K through 8 public charter school, so it was really great to see that similarity. And she mentored him while he was having some difficulty engaging his students. So she spent a year in the classroom watching as he used democratic practices and negotiated that structure of the class and the content in that year with his students. So they started with an agreed upon definition of art and sort of very basic guidelines of what the class needed to have, what it had to consist of. It needed to have some sort of way to evaluate and grade. It had to explore art. Art had to be made. And then after that point, they moved on, and the class sort of went from a teacher-centered environment to an idea-centered environment where the students really took the reins. The classroom structure and the culture totally changed from this. The students were given those guidelines and then ran with them and created their own meaning of what art was and how they wanted to show it and what it needed to be about, who the audience was, really interesting things. And when they were able to give their own insight, it made them more invested, more engaged, and resulted in really wonderful experiences for them and the teachers. So the article featured several vignettes, sort of a before and after, where it talked about certain students at the beginning who were really apathetic about school in general. They felt that authority figures only really saw them as bodies in desk chairs and not as people with voices that mattered. And after this experience in the classroom with George and Pennisi, they felt valued, they felt encouraged, they felt confident, and they were for sure engaged. So those before and after vignettes were really wonderful and motivating to read as well, really persuasive. And what was essentially found was that students being able to design the curriculum and have that say and decide what the content would and wouldn't be about made them more engaged, it made them care, it made them ready to learn and work alongside their teacher. They thrived. And it sort of, at the end, really advocates for this type of negotiation and curriculum, not only in an art education setting, but in just the education setting in general. And it provides some really interesting scenarios where you can add this to your own practices as well. Thanks for listening and sharing your own research articles.